Hi, everyone, and welcome. Stress is unavoidable, but we can decompress. And, yesterday I took a little walk, and I'll tell you later in class in the Taylor Creek. Well, man, I'm going to say it right now, actually, Halsey. But I'll explain later, I know, off of Halsey instead of going to the cement parking lot. But it reminded me to tell you, if you didn't know, that the physical practice of asanas was created by yogis sitting around cross-legged watching animals, insects, birds, trees. And so they named all of these asanas after aspects of nature, which is why when we're in nature, we all feel so much better, and how important it is because we are part of nature. And many of you either own or have owned a cat or a dog. They stretch all the time. So that's what we're going to do today without the barking and the meowing, the whining, and we don't have to fetch. So, the thing about yoga, especially when we stretch our spine, because our spine is like an antenna. It's a hub of energy. It's a structure, of course, it's a physical structure, but it's also a hub of energy and nerves. And just by stretching, we decompress the spine, and it benefits your entire body, which is why I think dogs and cats are just so much happier most of the time, because they stretch and they release any angst or stress about when they're going to eat, when they're coming home, when I'm going for a walk, when I'm going to evacuate my bowels, blah, blah, blah. So, the animal world has wisdom that we, in our modern age, are starting to forget. But we're here to remember. And I like the word remember because it's remembering, putting parts of your being back together. So let's put it back together. Come on down onto your mats. And I want you to stretch your arms overhead, obviously paying attention if you have any injuries or soreness in the shoulders. You're pointing your toes, you're stretching your fingers. You might want to tilt your chin towards the center of your chest to lengthen the back of your neck. And then we're going to turn our bodies into the shape of a banana, and we're going to do it on both sides. So you can start with scooching your legs over to the left. And if you go to the right, that's okay. But you're going to take your arms, and if you take hold of your right wrist with your left hand, and you bend from the waist a little bit sideways, you don't have to go very far. In fact, if you feel that you went too far, back off, all right? So you're stretching, pulling on the wrist, and if even pulling on the wrist doesn't feel right, it's okay, just stretch your arms and wiggle your fingers, and then come back into the center and just let go for a moment. Exhaling. And then inhale, take your feet over to the other side of the mat. Now you could take hold of your left wrist with your right hand. So your legs and your arms are both going to the same side of the mat. And again, if you're bending too far and you feel this anywhere in your back or spine, back it off. Listen to your bodies. You're hearing me, but I want you to listen to the inner voice of the body. So one more breath in, exhale, release, and come back to the center. And just let your arms lightly and loosely hang above your head. Let your feet splay out for a moment. And then let's stretch one more time, reaching and stretching, pointing your feet far, reaching and releasing. Now, carefully bring your arms down by your sides. Place your hands beside your body. Lift your shoulder blades up and tuck them under your heart. Tilt your chin towards the center of your chest. bend your legs and place the soles of your feet flat on the mat. Keeping your chin tilted towards the center of your chest. And now press the small of your back towards the floor. You don't have to do a hard press right now. Pressing your lower back. You feel your core, your abdominal muscles engage. And now let's do a hard press because we're going to tilt the pelvis up and peel the spine off the floor. Now visualize that your ankles are directly below your knees. And if you feel they may not be, just move them. Also visualize that your heels are lining up with your sits bones, your ischial tuberosities underneath the flesh of your buttocks. So this is a very gentle back bend. It's calming. It can reduce anxiety. Yeah, you're working your thighs. I mean, in every single asana, you could write a chapter. I could write a chapter on every single one about the benefits of it. But we're just focusing today on releasing. In fact, 90% of what yoga does for us is release. Release tension, tightness, and stress. And I guess if we hold this much longer, we will be adding stress. So let's slowly, one vertebra at a time, release the spine back down onto the floor. And then draw one knee at a time up into your chest and pull them in. So if you can, you're wrapping your arms around your knees or just holding on to them with your hands on the shins, whatever's working for you. Pawamaktasana, it's called wind relieving pose. And obviously the compression that you feel on your abdomen, there can be pockets of air in our digestive system. I think I spoke last week or the week before. The small intestine, about 23 feet in length. It can be shorter or longer depending on. And then the large intestine, about 5 feet. And then you've got your colon and your rectum. So there are pockets of air, there's stuff that gets lodged in. And then with one hand on each, let your knees separate a bit, keeping the knees in towards the chest. And as the knees are separating, you're now compressing the ascending colon, which joins to the descending on the left via the transcending, which we were compressing. And then extend your left leg straight down in front. With your left hand on the outside of your right knee, take it across your body. If it feels okay, extend your right arm out to the right side, breathing into that top right hip and thigh. But again, what we're really trying to do is remove some of the stiffness, the tightness, the tension. And it can be physical, it can be mental, emotional, existential. We don't have to know exactly what it is. We don't have to know anything about it. Just know that it's almost a kind of magic that yoga, without identifying, but just by being mindfully practicing on your mat, that you can release so much of what is not serving you, one iota. In fact, if anything, it can be holding you back from feeling the lightness of and the energy and improved circulation, so that every cell in your body is getting what it needs. And then come back to the center. Draw that right knee in and bring the left knee up. Extend the right leg down in front. Place the right hand on the outside of the left knee and draw it across your body. And it doesn't matter how far you twist. You're twisting to the point where you're feeling something. You don't want to feel too much. You don't want to force. That creates stress and tension in the body. But as you breathe, and of course the breath is what truly enervates as well as releasing in our exhalation all manner of negativity, of stress, including toxins, carbon dioxide. The trees are going to breathe that in, and they're going to exhale oxygen, prana, life force. In fact, we don't have a whole lot more time before the leaves are going to start to fill in on the branches of the trees, before you can stop seeing those naked trees, which are so interesting, their branches and how they reach up for the sky, or maybe they're tired and their arms hang down or they're broken. And come back to the center. And then bring your hands underneath the backs of your thighs. We can rock up to a seated position, or you can come over onto your side and use your top arm to press yourselves back up. Coming over onto all fours, we're going to start in tabletop, and we're going to honor the cat and the cow. So be sure that your hands are directly, if possible, underneath your shoulders, and that your knees are underneath your hips. If you have wrist issues, you can come onto your knuckles, or you can also take your hands a little bit further forward if that's more comfortable for you. Also, if your knees are a little tender, I do have knee pads, most of you know that on the table, but doubling your mat over can also provide extra cushioning for your knees. Okay, so you're pressing all 10 fingers into the mat, as well as the perimeter of your hand. On an exhale, round your spine. So this is where we articulate every single facet and joint, warming up the spine, pull the bellies in, and on an inhale, curl your toes under, lift your tail, hollow out your lower back. See it as a wave moving up your spine. Draw your heart center forward, and let your head lift and eyes roll up. Exhale, round your spine. See it as a wave that's cresting. And on an inhale, hollowing out your lower back, lifting your tail, bringing your heart center forward, reducing that potential dowager's hump, that kyphotic roundness in the upper back. Exhale, rounding your spine, tuck your chin, pull your bellies in. Inhaling, curl your toes under, hollow out your lower back. Draw your heart center forward. We're lengthening, articulating, stretching. Last time. Rounding into cat, exhaling, curling the toes under, inhaling, and coming back to neutral. Okay, how about being bears for a moment? You're going to curl your toes under, and you're just going to lift your knees off the floor. Now, this is where it's really important that you're pressing all 10 fingers into the mat. Middle finger should be pointing forward. If you can see the wrinkles in your wrist, they should be lining up with the front of your mat, okay? This is about alignment. So look at the wrinkles in your wrist. They're aligned with the front of your mat. Your toes are curled under. You're going to lift your knees off the floor just slightly. Knees are off the floor just slightly. So this is also known as turbo tabletop, but bear pose. We had a request today for arm strength, and we're going to do a few arm exercises, but we're going to release all kinds of tension, and then let that go. Take your knees wide apart. Big toes are touching. So your feet, your thighs are going to be like a V. Okay, they're wide. Then flatten the tops of your feet, If you have a tendency towards cramping in your feet, go so slow, taking your hips back towards your heels. And then just have a look while you're sitting there for a moment. We did this before, but just in case, you're going to bring your arms forward. You're going to bring your hands into prayer, and you're going to lift them behind your head, stretching out the triceps. But again, if this does not feel right for you today, because we're only talking about today, we're only embodying today, then modify. And release your arms down and come on up. So we're going to practice a plank on our forearms. Your elbows should be underneath your shoulders. Extend your legs back out behind you. Press your hands into the floor. Take both legs behind you, holding in plank. So this is forearm plank, strengthening arms, shoulders, and core. Draw yourself a little bit forward just to lengthen through the lower back. And then release your knees. And one more time, we'll come into child's pose. You can have your knees wide apart. If you ate a big breakfast, hopefully you didn't, it's always better to have your knees apart. I often come to class hungry, and I'm starving after class. Hunger's okay. All right, so let your forehead either rest on the mat, or if you need extra height, fold one forearm on top of the other and rest your head there. And come on up. Okay, dolphin pose, another arm strengthener, shoulders. You're going to interlock your fingers, but you're going to take the bottom baby finger and bring it inside of your palm so you don't squish it too much. Once again, your elbows should be below your shoulders. Your knees should be underneath your hips to start. And then you're going to curl your toes under, lift your hips up, and let your head fall. Your head doesn't touch the floor, but it comes just in front of your interlaced fingers. Pressing your heels back. Couple more breaths here. If you can hold, if you can't hold or don't feel it's right for you to hold as long as I'm asking, always come out. It's like leaving a party before it gets ugly. And then release your knees. That's funny, when you leave before it gets ugly. Okay, I haven't been to one of those lately, but. Okay, so once again, we're just going to release shoulders and stretch them out because we're working them. So identify your right arm, sweep it up, thread the needle, reach it under the other arm, and release your shoulder and the side of your face onto the mat. If you can leave your other hand near the shoulder, or you can tippy-toe the fingers out in front, stretching out the other shoulder. And then if your arm was out in front, Let's press it back up under the shoulder. Take the opposite arm, reaching up, and take it under, and release the side of your face. Keep your bum in the air. Tippy-toe the fingers, out in front if you like. And bring that back. Okay, now, does everybody have either a cushion or a block? Because you can use either. We're going to do a bit of a modified Vipariti Karani. So that's legs up the wall, but I think it works just as well to place your block or your cushion, whatever you have, something firm is the point. And again, tucking your shoulder blades under your heart center, just lifting them up, and then bringing your legs up into the air and just letting them hang out. This is a very calming posture. It reduces, any anxiety. So just getting your legs up in the air, supporting the sacrum, so below the waist. And once again, when your arms are by your side but far enough away with your palms facing up, it opens up your chest. We spend most of our time in forward flexion. We spend a lot of time sitting. So if your palms are facing up and your legs are up in the air, this is a nice, gentle inversion that relaxes and calms the body. It should feel good on your lower back as well, which also takes a hit from a lot of sitting. There's, compression, poor posture, and gravity are real. And by inverting, which Mr. Iyengar once said was one of our best friends, to invert our bodies, we allow the blood that's pooled in our ankles and reduce the pressure that's building in the veins of our legs. And this is true whether we stand or sit a lot. There's a buildup of pressure. We can get cramping. Obviously, circulation is not good. So this reverses all that. It opens up the valves of the vein and just lets the blood return to the center of our being. And when we can't be in nature, we can be like nature by practicing yoga, inspired by nature. And then while your legs are up in the air, let's rotate the feet at the ankles, so making circles. And change the direction. And then point the feet and flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. And now keep your feet flexed and make small circles. This starts to engage your lower abs. Change the direction. And then can you try to bring the big toe mounts and the heels together so that your feet are almost trying to get into a prayer position? So you can feel this stretch on the outer edges of your calves, and then change the stretch so that you're actually trying to take your feet to open up the other way that you were just, it's hard to explain, but your feet were in prayer. Let's come back to prayer. And then open them as wide as you can the other way. And then bend the legs and place the soles of the feet on the floor. Remove your cushion or block to the other side. Draw the knees one more time into the chest. Do a little rocking from side to side. And then place your hands underneath the backs of your thighs or roll over onto your side, whichever is preferred. Come on over onto your knees. Take a sip of water at any point. And then curl your toes under, and we're going to slowly roll up, but just coming halfway. I want you to feel like you're a rag doll. So you're going to let your shoulders relax, letting your arms just hang. Keep your knees soft. Let your belly rest on your thighs, and let the weight of your head create like a plumb line of sorts. It's like a lazy man's traction. Just standing in ragdoll, keeping your head loose. And then feeling fully rooted and grounded through the soles of your feet. Keeping your knees soft. You're going to slowly roll up, one vertebra at a time. Keep your chin tucked into your chest. And come all the way up. And then inhale, shoulders up to ears. Exhale, pull them down. Pull your armpits down. And give your legs a shake out. Okay, we're going to do half sun salutations. Your feet should be about hip width apart. And in my world, that means your heels line up with the backs of your knees, line up with your sits bones. For some people, if you feel that you want to be wider, but for me, the alignment works best and is best when hips, and when I say hips, these are your hips, hip bones, over your knees, over your ankles. Outsides of your feet are parallel with the outsides of your mat. Lift your toes off the floor. Feel your big toe mount, baby toe mount, and the center of your heel pressing into the floor, and then lower your toes. Engage your thighs by lifting up on your kneecaps. Arms are at your side. Inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, palms facing one another. Turn the palms out. Bend your knees, slowly swan dive onto your thighs. So bend your knees a lot. Drop your hips, come into a tuck. Tense your fingers on the floor and lift your hips up and let the crown of your head point down. You may not be able to straighten your legs. It's okay. You just want to feel that stretch in the backs of your legs, and please feel the release in your neck. On an exhale, bend your legs, drop your hips, shoulders back, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Turn the palms out, exhale, and float your arms down, taking up lots of space. Inhale. Palms turned out, exhale. Bend your knees, drop your hips, tense your fingers. Inhale, belly on thighs, crown of head hanging. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back. Inhale, sweeping out and up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. Try to synchronize the movement with your breath. Inhale, you get to the top of the inhale, your hands meet. Exhale, all the air out. Inhale, lift your hips, stretch the backs of your legs, release your head. Give your head a swing if you're not sure. Let it go. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, shoulders back, lengthen your spine as you inhale. Sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float the arms down, taking up lots of space. This has a cleansing effect on the energy around us. If we were carrying any bad energy, this kind of brushes it all away. Exhale. Inhale, lift your hips. Crown of head floats down, backs of legs stretching. Exhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, lengthen spine. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, float the arms down. Last time, and we will do a bit of a variation. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. So just pause here for a moment. Let your head hang. Now, bend your right leg. Place your right hand on your left instep. Right leg bent, right hand on left instep. Inhale, sweep the left arm up. Reach up, stretch up, maybe look up. Exhale, float it down. Bend your left leg. Place your left hand on your right instep. Inhale, sweep the right arm up, reach up, stretch up. Exhale, float it down, bend your knees again. Now, on an inhale, keep your knees bent, transfer some of your weight towards the back of your foot, your heel, and keep your knees bent. Come into chair pose, horseman's pose. So the higher your arms go up, the more you have to work your arms and shoulders. If your arms and shoulders don't want that much work, keep them at shoulder height. Exhale, forward fold. Let your head hang. Inhale, come halfway up. Place your hands on your shins. Tabletop your spine. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees one more time. Transfer the weight into the heels. It's like you're going to sit in a chair. Inhale, sweeping up. And by the way, this reminds me to tell you, when you're brushing your teeth, if you're brushing like this, you're missing an opportunity. Bend your knees, strengthen your lower back. So you're brushing like this. Got it? Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the side, reaching up. Exhale, hands in prayer. This reminds me at this point, too, to say that I know I offer you a lot in this class. If you leave each class with one idea, one tip, one technique, and you actually employ it, maybe it is brushing your teeth. I don't know. Maybe it's remembering to breathe, but just saying, I'm that person who's been to hundreds of classes and workshops and retreats and coaching sessions, and I wanted to take it all. I finally realized, no, you just walk away with one thing. Okay, come on up to the fronts of your mats. So again, strengthening postures, but we're going to be working our arms here in a little vinyasa of standing postures. So you're at the front of your mat. I think anyone who has socks on, it doesn't have stickies, taking their foot back. Take your right foot back about 2.5 feet, and then I want you to separate your feet. So we're going to start with warrior one. Your front foot should be about 90 degrees forward, if not 90, and your back foot about 60. If you create space between your feet, you'll have an easier time orientating your hips and chest towards the front of your mat. Bend that front knee. Your anchor is always your back foot, so press the heel into the floor. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Now, be mindful that you're not reaching up with your shoulders. Your shoulders are relaxing. But there's energy through the arms, the fingertips, the shoulders. One more breath in. Exhale, bring your arms behind your body, interlock your fingers, squeeze your shoulder blades together. So if you can bring whatever amount you can to bring your palms together, whatever that looks like, might not be a lot. Inhale, lift your hearts, keep your front knee bent and your back leg straight. Exhale, lead with your hearts. Keep pressing into that back foot. That's your anchor, and you're lifting your arms up and over whatever amount is available to you today. And then release your fingertips towards the floor, tenting them. Perhaps you can straighten that front leg and keep the back leg straight, but if not, you could bend the back leg so we get some stretch into the hamstring of the front leg. Maybe you can keep the back leg straight. Obviously, if we have blocks or cushions, we can add height. And now let's bend the front leg again, sweeping the arms up, coming back into warrior one. Keep pressing into that back foot. This will be your anchor. And then lower your arms, bring your front foot back to the middle of your mat, and take your other foot further back for warrior two. Make sure you have a straight line between the arch of your the heel of your front foot through the arch of your back foot, about one leg length. Your legs may be longer than you think. Okay, bend your front knee. Don't let your torso move forward. Keep your shoulders right over your hips. Look down and see your big toe inside of your knee. The knee loves to collapse in. Keep your inner thigh adductor muscles activated. Inhale, sweep the arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, lower your shoulders. Remember, your back foot is still your anchor. Don't let your torso lean forward. Lower your shoulders, lift up at your sternum, and fix your gaze over your middle finger or middle three fingers. Your gaze is over your middle fingers. Then lower your back arm down your back leg, coming up into exalted, peaceful warriors. I wore my camo tights today because I'm a peaceful warrior. Not a worrier, a peaceful warrior. And then coming back to warrior two, bring your front forearm onto your front thigh. Take your back arm and sweep it down, around, in front, and bring it over your ear and blossom your heart center to the side of your mat. Nice. And your palm is facing the floor. And there's energy through those fingers, so stretch what you can. Remember, all the stretching is releasing tension and stress. Okay, now you're going to take that arm in front. You're going to reach it up towards the ceiling. You're going to straighten your front leg and bring the other arm straight down below. Imagine, and I love this, I'm looking around here. God, you guys are good. You must have had a good teacher. Yeah, imagine, and I can see it, your shoulders are both up against an invisible plexiglass. Beautiful. And then bend that front knee, come back into warrior two. Lower your arms, bring your back leg forward, and give your legs a good shake out. And let's do the other side. No, truly beautiful, guys. I hope you were at home as well. Okay, so step your left leg back. It's a good thing there. Oh yeah, we're going to start with warrior one. So your leg stance is not as wide as about 2 to 2.5 feet. Your front foot, which is should be the opposite side now, everyone. So it should be your right foot forward and your back foot about 60 degrees. So separate the space between your feet. Yeah, so Fennell, if you separate it, because then you can easily orientate your hips and your chest towards the front of your mat. So separate your feet. It can be the whole width of the mat if you need it. Great. Okay, bend your front knee. Orientate your hips and chest towards the front of your mat if you're able to, Junie, towards me. Towards me, yep, yep, great. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. Now remember, you're pressing into the heel of your back foot. That's going to be your arch. So your back leg is straight. Rob, if your back leg is straight, yeah. Front knee is bent. Fingers are active, shoulders are down, but arms are fully engaged. It's kind of isometric when you're, instead of your arms just hanging out, they're alive. Take your arms behind your back, interlock your fingers. Again, you're bringing your hands as close together as you can just to open up your shoulders, to rotate those arm bones backwards as opposed to always being forwards. Now, inhale, keep your front knee bent, lift your gaze, exhale. Lengthen and lead with your hearts. Lead with your hearts, lowering your torso inside of your front thigh, keeping your back leg straight, pressing into the heel. It's your anchor. I know I'm repeating myself. Is your neck relaxed? Is your head just hanging? And then release your hands towards the floor. If you're able, with your fingertips tented, or if your block is handy, your blocks, you can add your height. Try to straighten that front leg, front angle bend. You're going to feel the stretch in the belly of your hamstring. So that's the belly of a muscle is the center of the muscle. It's where it's the thickest. It's how we create the flexibility for our bodies. Mobility is more about the joints and the ligaments that attach and the tendons that attach the muscles towards the joints. They work together, but they are separate entities that we work in yoga. And then inhale, bend that front knee, come on back up into warrior one. And now lower your arms. Walk your front foot towards the center of your mat, keeping it straight forward. And then take your back leg back a little bit further and create that invisible line from the heel of your front foot through the arch of your back foot. So your body's no longer orientated towards the front of your mat. Now it's sideways, okay? It's not this anymore. You're going to bend your front knee, look down, see your big toe inside of your knee. Basically, your knee's over your ankle or your calf is lining up with your heel. You're pressing into that back foot. Both of your inner thighs should be activated. You can feel them, your adductor muscles. They should both be activated, stay activated. Lifting your sternum, inhale, sweep the arms up to shoulder height. Exhale, lower your shoulders and lengthen and fix your gaze over your front middle fingertips. Fingers are active. Now you may want to just look behind you at your back arm. If you have shoulder issues and it feels better, lower, but if you can, try to get them equal. And you keep lifting up in the sternum. The more we lift up here, the more the shoulder blades go back down our backs instead of being up somewhere. And lower your back arm, down your back leg, reach that arm up, stretching up. Try not to compress too much through the side of your body. Continue to feel the connection of your feet, growing roots into the earth. And returning to Warrior Two, Virabhadrasana 2. Let's bring the front forearm onto the front thigh. Take your back arm down around in front of you, and then bring it up and over your ear, and open your chest to the side of your mat. The palm faces the floor. Nice energy through those fingertips. So see a line of energy from the outside of your back foot, along your leg, through the waist, through the ribs, through the shoulders, right out through those fingertips. You're reaching and stretching. On an inhale, you're going to straighten your front leg, bring that top arm straight up, and the other arm is just organically pointing down. So the energy is up, lifting up. Straighten your front leg as much as you can. Kelly, straighten your front, yep. And Rob, have a look at me. You've got your arms in the, so you're going to bring that front arm, yeah. There you go. Whoosh. Top arm is straight up if possible. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, lower your hands, bring your legs together, and come on down onto your mats. Take a sip of water. We're going to spend a couple of moments in Shavasana to allow the benefits of what you have just done to be absorbed into your bodies and give you a bit of a rest before the torture begins again. It's not torture, it's magic. I believe in magic. Okay, so in your lying down position, now you could also have options. You can keep your knees bent with your feet flat on the floor. I would prefer for you to have your palms facing up in the open and receiving position. You could also bring the soles of your feet together in lying down, supine Baddha Konasana, so the soles of your feet are together with your knees splaying out. And of course, you can take Shavasana in the normal way with your legs straight out in front, your palms facing up, your lower back in neutral, your chin pointing towards the center of your chest. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax the jaw and just let your body be soft and heavy. And then once your body starts to settle, just observe your breath for a moment. So observe your next inhalation through the nose, if possible, breathing through the nose, unless you're plugged, helps to warm, cleanse, and moisten the air that enters into the lungs. It just makes it easier for your lungs to share that prana, that life force, that air, to the tiny little alveoli where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. And then the oxygen gets into the bloodstream and is distributed to every single cell of your body. And as you exhale, the waste, the carbon dioxide from the cells is released. The breath is absolutely integral to controlling, or at least modifying, our mental and emotional states when need be, by slowing down the breath. And another little really key tip: when we feel completely out of sorts, overwhelmed with thoughts and fears and worries and whatever the monkey mind is up to, notice if you pause at the bottom of an exhalation, you can't have a thought. So you can do that right now and notice that. Pausing at the bottom of an exhalation creates cessation of thinking. Knowing that most of us have between 50 to 75,000 thoughts a day, many of them repetitive and counterproductive, is it any wonder that we feel a lot of tension and stress in our bodies? And when we practice mindfully, without judgment, and more compassion for how we are, it just makes it so much easier not to build more of what we don't want and let it go. Okay, so once again, we are going to return to sitting for a moment. So either placing your hands underneath the backs of your knees or rolling over onto your side, come forward. So sitting position, forward folding positions, whether you're standing, whether it's child's pose, pull the flesh out from underneath your sits bones. It's kind of a way of withdrawing our senses, right? So if we're in child's pose, we're not looking around at anything, we're in child's pose. So we're gonna do a forward bend. And for some of us, including moi, they're not easy, but pull the flesh away from your sits bones. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. Even just sitting up straight can be work if we have weak back muscles, tight hamstrings. Lifting up out of your waist, lead with your heart. Come as far forward as you actually can without force. And then lower your hands wherever they land. They might hit your toes, maybe the outside of your feet, maybe your ankles, maybe your calves. Okay? And then whatever you're holding on to, inhale, draw your heart center forward, lengthen your spine. So you're actually lengthening your spine, not rounding it, so it doesn't matter how far over you can go. And then on an exhale, just lower your torso, whatever amount you can. Close your eyes if you wish, and just hang out. So it's finding a little bit of quiet. Obviously, if you push too far and your lower back is screaming at you, you won't have that quiet. And yeah, your hamstrings may feel like they're a little bit on fire because the stretching of them activates the muscles. So maybe you want to back off a little bit again. And one more breath in to lengthen. You might come up a bit. And one more exhale to lower. And then walk your hands up your thighs and just spend a moment in Dandasana, staff pose, with your hands beside your hips, your fingertips pointing forward, just noticing how much easier it may be now to sit up straight. Just with that one little stretch. Imagine if you were to do this again this week. Okay, fold your knees over to the side. Curl your toes under. Again, keep your knees soft. Let your upper body hang in this ragdoll position. By the way, if you spend a lot of time at a desk, you can certainly do this sitting in a chair. Breathe into your hips and slowly pressing the soles of your feet into the floor, rolling up to a standing posture with your head being the last thing to come up. Okay, because I'm so into trees right now, in all their naked glory, we're going to practice tree pose, Vrikshasana. Okay, so, and I brought all these little socks today. Now, I mean, it's probably not a good idea. It takes a while to put them on, but these little socks with the stickies on the bottom, great for doing tree pose. If you have slippery pants on, it's really hard to hold your foot inside of your thigh. Okay, I'll do the mirror image. So let's balance on our right leg first and come up onto the ball of the left foot. Right. Okay. So standing nice and tall, shoulders back, and it's great. Some people, I've said before, for some reason, coming off your mat can be very helpful for balanced postures if you choose to. You can start here with your toes on the floor and your foot right next to your ankle. Now you're going to feel all your tiny little muscles flexing and wobbling and all that stuff. Fix your gaze somewhere on the floor. Keep your sternum and chest lifted, and let's give that leg a shake out. Let's try the other side. Now you know what you're doing. You're bringing the ball of the foot and the sole of your foot up against your ankle. And you're focusing your gaze 8 to 9 feet in front of you. And give your leg a shake out. So now, when we really go for balance, you really need to wait for your own inner cue, not mine. And in tree pose, one thing, and I see it all the time, you'll see people pressing into their knee. Please don't press into your knee. Either your calf, if you're able, you're bringing your heel into your inner thigh. Now, because my pants are slippery and my feet are a little cold, I'm going to have to hold my foot. But you're going to press your thigh into your foot and lift one arm or both arms up. You can also come into prayer pose. So waiting for your own inner cue. And when you're ready, nice everybody, just do what you can. If in some days balance is just, I blame it on the planets. Okay, so let's try the other side. Again, waiting for your own inner cue. This creates great focus. It actually activates your third eye to practice this posture. That's your seat of intuition. If you're a gambler, I don't know if it'll help. Nice, everybody. Give your legs a shake out. Spread your legs wide apart, sideways on your mat. Come sideways on your mat. Turn your feet out. Place your hands on your hips. Lift your heart center, shoulders back. Exhale, fold from your hips, tops of your legs. Lower your fingertips to the floor just below your face. On an inhale, sweep the left arm up, reaching up, stretching up, maybe looking up. Exhale, float it down. Inhale, sweep the other arm up, reach up, stretch up. Exhale, float it down. Let's lunge over to the left. So if your feet are wide apart, You might be able to bring your hips down towards your heels. Inhaling up into the center, exhaling over to the other side. I know we don't do many squats in real life anymore, bend our knees a lot, and we do need to be mindful if there's any injury. Inhale, coming up into the center, however, and then bring yourself back down onto the mat. Keeping our knees in good shape, doing squatting, malasana, garden pose, if it's not hurting you, is a great idea. It'll stretch your thighs, keeps your knees, joints mobilized. So if you need to put any clothing on, please do. If you can, cover your eyes with something, flat out and relaxing. Shavasana. Eyes are closed. Separate the biting surfaces of the teeth. Relax the jaw. Relax your lower back. Let your bodies be soft and heavy. The more that we can practice yoga with ease and awareness, mindfulness, the better the chances are that we can take this sense of ease, awareness, and connectedness into our everyday life. Because yoga isn't only about the time we spend on a mat, which may only be 1 hour a week. It's how can we take what we're learning, what we're remembering into our everyday. Allowing the breath in, infusing life force, prana, energy, and exhaling. Inhaling the life force long, full, and deep. And deep. Exhaling. Long, full, deep. Inhaling. And letting go. Inhaling life. Exhaling joy to spread and share. Letting the corners of your mouth turn up into that little Buddha smile. Knowing everything will be okay in the end, it will be. Inhaling and stretching your arms over behind your heads. Reach and stretch. Point feet far, flex and point, and bring your arms back by your side. Take a moment to roll over onto your side, bending your knees, perhaps using your bottom arm as a pillow. And just take a moment here. Perhaps you could thank yourself for showing up to take care of your body, your mind, your spirit, to release and let go of tension, tightness, and stress. And then using your top arm to press yourself back up. If you wish, join me in chanting Om just once to seal and close our practice. Even silently, it has power. Inhaling together. Om Shanti, peace, namaste.